Live?
Yeah,
oh, now we're live on YouTube and knocked your elbow off of the thing.
Yeah, watch out. Well, no one's still watching. So
can we talk about why we weren't live at 5 today?
But is that helpful when no one's watching?
No, I just wanted to say it on the
for the audition.
Yes.
Okay. Today we were. Wait, it says we're telling more followers. Oh, sorry. Today we didn't start at 5 because I had class because I'm taking summer classes and they're not supposed to get out till 5:30. But I got a little bit early, but still not before 5. So that's why we're starting late.
I think what we're going to try to do is
get us close to 5.
I don't know. Maybe because since Morelia Python Radio is usually on at this time and this day, maybe we'll try to do maybe Wednesday or something like that.
But you're working.
Yeah, but I mean, I can just work Tuesday
and take
not
off.
Work Wednesday.
Gotcha.
So I don't know.
I'm gonna get out of
if
class.
You're not gonna make it at
time.
5 because 5 works because it's 5 to 6.
Did you see Evan said we're late? It's my fault.
We just explained that. Melissa started a class and we may have to move it to Wednesday at like 6.
Sorry. That's what happens when you're in school.
Sound as good as live at 5, but whatever.
I'll find something to rhyme with 6.
Yeah. 6. They're dicks.
That's what came to my head too. Is that bad that dicks is the first thing that comes to my head for 6? Yeah.
I mean, it makes more sense for you than it does for me, I guess.
Well, we know what you're thinking about too then.
And what was that? I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I was gonna say because we actually this is the first time that we're doing this, and we actually haven't seen each other during the whole day.
Oh yeah, usually we're hanging out all Tuesday.
Yeah,
but I've been gone all day.
So today I boiled the pinky for. My voice just cracked.
I feel like it cracked at the beginning of every episode. You gotta get in your voice.
In my voice.
Okay, you boiled a pinky for the SOUNDCLOUD.
Yeah.
Did it finally eat it?
I was doing large pinkies before, and then maybe it's just too big, so I tried 2 small pinkies. I don't know, nothing yet. She didn't eat it yet.
How long have you had that SOUNDCLOUD now?
I believe it's been about 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks.
And she has not eaten a thing.
She hasn't eaten. So after this, I mean, she's a little bit smaller than I wanted her to be to begin with. So after this, I think I may assist feed or at least tease feed.
When is the time when you start getting worried? After 2 weeks is when you are not worried, but you
not
start.
Necessarily. I mean, if it's a hatchling, it's a little bit different. And then plus, it's always going to be, looking at the actual body of the snake.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be individual basis plus the fact. I mean, because with corn snakes, I've had hatchlings come out looking real weak, and they're like, "I want to get food into this baby."
Real
and
quick.
Then you have some that are pretty robust hatchlings.
Evan asked, "Have you scented with lizard?"
Ew. No, I haven't. But I mean, I've been thinking about catching in a knoll. But she already ate a pinky, so I shouldn't have to scent it. That's the whole thing.
Before it was sold to you, she ate.
Yeah.
That's weird. Why would she?
And now whenever you change the location, an already picky feeder can become
even more picky,
even worse. But
so she had only eaten once before.
No, she had eaten multiple times, just boiled pinkies. She just wouldn't have, raw. I don't know why she wouldn't have the raw regular pinkies. She would only have boiled pinkies.
Really, and just then getting to you and changing scene just made her. She doesn't even want boiled pinkies now. So
right, and I did try tuna scenting, which I mean that usually works with the hognose because it smells more like a frog.
Mm-hmm.
It's really for baby corn snakes in the wild. They're mostly going to be eating in knolls, so I mean that's always a good thing to scent with.
Mm-hmm.
But I've just been kind of lazy, didn't want to go and
deal with that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then also deal with the whole thing. So I didn't think I would have to. I figured I'll have to when this clutch comes out anyway, because there's always at least one that's
right when your pine snake clutch comes out.
No, when my corn snake clutch comes out.
Tony's. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't thinking.
Yeah, so I mean, eventually I'll have to go there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I will put that off as long as I can.
So, what are you gonna try? What did you say you're gonna try next? Is assist feeding?
I might tease feed her. Which means I'm gonna just hold her in my hand, not at the neck, obviously, but towards the upper third of her body, and then kind of wave the pinky around, get a defense strike. And then kind of get her to latch onto that pinky.
Okay.
And then she'll put it down if I put it, you know, if I have it a little bit farther down.
Just
I don't know how to
just
explain
helping
it.
her out, right?
Helping
you're
her
not
out,
you're
yeah.
not stuffing it down her throat,
Yeah.
but
So,
you're helping her out.
yeah. So Chris Brewster said on YouTube that he's new to the snake world and been watching my videos and learning a lot, which is super cool.
Thank you.
And there's so thank you. And there's a lot of good resources out there. If you ever have any questions, I mean, shit, we're right here if you want to ask any questions about snakes. I don't know what kind of snakes you keep, but
do you know how old that SOUNDCLOUD you have is, or how long the breeder had it?
I do know the date of birth, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. No.
Okay.
But I mean, I would get worried. For hatchlings, corn snakes, I would start getting more. What would you call it? I would get more.
I don't know.
I was get a little bit more worried maybe at about 3 weeks, 2 or 3
okay,
weeks.
of them not
after
eating.
they get out of the egg, it's basically a
trial and error period.
Like they just had a meal. They just absorbed all the yolk
all
and
the stuff
everything
in
in
there.
the egg. So
they shouldn't be hungry right when they hatch.
Right. Yeah. You can't really, although, I mean, I'm sure there's people who have fed babies right out of the egg, but for the most part, you're going to let them get out. They're going to shed right after they get out of the egg. So, so once they have that first shed, then you can try to feed them. If they don't feed the first time, it's really not a big deal. You get like a 2-week window when you're like, it's cool if they don't eat. Okay. Then after that, you kind of want to start
trying different things and experimenting.
Or, you know, I mean, I wouldn't get worried. And then also some breeders, especially for corn snakes, if they don't feed off the bat, then they're feeders from there. I mean, they don't
even try. Well, I guess if you have a bunch,
they figure that if you keep that gene around for piggy feeders, that it's gonna
continue to be piggy and will go down the line. So you want to
have the best genetics that you can have. So you're thinking that maybe they may pass on a gene for being piggy feeders. I don't know how true that is.
I mean, if you have a bunch
it's
and you
captivity,
can, right? If you have a bunch and you know, making that one that's a picky feeder a feeder to another snake, okay. But I feel like for someone who has a smaller collection, I think it's worth it to try to experiment to see.
Yeah, if you have the time to do it, if you have thousands of snakes, then I mean, for me, it wouldn't be feasible because, you know, what am I going to do with that? I mean, I can feed a snake to the king snake, but that's not really even the best meal. I mean, I'd rather just give her rats. She's too big to have a hatchling corn snake. That won't do anything.
Right. It's not going to feed her anyway. So you might as well try to figure out the time.
To get them started and get going. So
has it been proven that that's something you can pass piggy eating can pass on?
I wouldn't say proven really at all. I mean, you would think that as a species as a whole, once they get more and more, you know, captive born or captive bred in captivity, they tend to be easier to get feeding. Right. I don't know if that would have anything to do with individuals. I don't know if you can pass that out.
I don't do science, but I feel in my head that doesn't seem like something that would pass. And just because it's so widespread, it's so up, you know what I mean? It's so up and down.
I'm not sure that if your mom doesn't like fish, that you won't like fish. I think there's just genetic variability.
Right. And I think it has to do with how early you're introduced to something, or you introduce the snake to a certain thing, you know, just all kind of, there's so many variables in it. I don't think
a clutch of maybe 20 corn snakes, there's always going to be one or two.
You're destined to that.
So like, if I have the best feeding genes ever, and there's still the same
one or two
ratio, is that helping at all? I don't know.
Right.
So Chris Brewster, and yes, we do drink beer every episode. So
yes, I don't usually subject myself to Miller Lite, but
that's what happens. Nicer beer, but that's been what we've been doing, just because it's hard to drink like lots of craft beer.
Yeah, also expensive.
It's much easier to drink.
I can't buy $20 beers every
week.
Yeah. Right. But he asked on YouTube, where did you get your rack / bin system for the hatchlings?
So I got those from Eric White, which is going to be TGR Rack Systems. And so if you look that up on Facebook, it's just TGR space Rack Systems.
Only downside to him is he's an Alabama fan, and so
yeah, so
it's pretty disappointing.
Well, that's like a thing to take into a consideration. Not that, but where they live. So he lives in Alabama. We're in Texas, so
go Tigers.
So he was here for the
NARBC.
the NARBC reptile show, so it was convenient for me to pick them up there, so I didn't have to pay shipping. I'm not going to say it's the cheapest. It is good quality. The cheapest is going to be animal plastics racks, so look up apcages.com. What you're going to want to do is order those and then fucking wait half your lifetime, and then they'll fucking show up once you forget that you ordered them. they'll show up right there. So it's like you order them fucking 2 years before you have whatever you want to put the fucking snake in. But they are probably the best racks because they do have recessed area for the heat tape. So the heat tape actually like kind of locks in there, and you don't slide the tub back and forth on the heat tape, which is why. And then also they're super fucking cheap, but
they
it comes
take
at
a while.
price at the same time because I'm not even like I'm exaggerating with like 2 years. I'm just fucking around, but it will literally take at least probably fucking 6 months.
Are Eric's quicker?
Eric, I'm sure since you're talking to him and just a human, you're not going right through
to a huge company.
You're not going through a bigger company. I mean, it's going to be definitely easy. Or you can go to Sea Serpents if you're in Florida. You know, just talk to like those more
see what's around you.
rack builders. I mean, what's around you, that can be a good resource. Go to a show, go on your Craigslist, go on whatever your local reptile classifieds is. So here we have like Texas reptile classifieds, so you can find a used rack at a good price and not have to pay shipping. You can just pick it up and it's used,
right? As long as you get pictures before to make sure it's still in good quality.
All right, Mia Fernandez said, I'm going to pick up my first ball python in a couple hours. It's a super pastel Congo.
I don't know what those look like. I have no idea what that is.
I'm not sure what a Congo is, but if you can enlighten me. I mean, but that's super cool. It's always exciting getting a new snake.
Also, we're going to ignore Evan's comment related to that state next to Louisiana. I mean, 2 states. Yeah.
What?
The 2 states over. No, 2 states over from Louisiana.
Who's saying hook 'em? Like
horns.
Longhorns.
Oh my God. I'm dumb. I'm being dumb.
Now. Don't listen to her.
Sorry. Tigers all the way still. But yeah, I've never heard of a super pastel Congo.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Congo at all. What else did he say? He said he's looking at Reptile Basics now. Are they all that pricey? Okay.
Yeah, Reptile Basics is a little bit pricier, and then but they do come built already, and you do have to pay a little bit more on shipping, so that is a downside. But I mean, even if you just get one corn snake, if you just get even a 10-gallon tank, as long as you have fasteners enough to make sure it doesn't get out, I mean, it's really not a big deal until you can get a rack system where you can wait for those AP cages to come in.
Right. If you're just getting one, there's not a need for a rack system.
But if you're thinking about a rack system, then you're probably thinking of getting
more than one. Right.
But yeah, so Sea Serpents has a really cool hatchling rack. And
do people who make racks, are they constantly like making them always, or are they waiting for the orders to come in, then they start making it?
Some do by order, some have them pre-made. So I know AP cages for their fast racks, and I've bought the ones that are supposed to be pre-made. It still takes the fucking 6 months, dude.
Is that because the demand is so high, or?
Well, they're the cheapest, and I think they do CNC, so it should go faster. But for whatever reason, meaning it's like they have pre-made in the computer the layout to cut all the pieces.
Okay.
And then they just put sheets of PVC in there
through it, and it cuts it. So then why does it take so long? It's not handmade. It sounds like it's going through a machine.
It's semi-handmade, but it's not really. You shouldn't have to wait for the labor. I don't know. That's them. I don't want to.
Right, but the benefit, like you said earlier, is going to a show. Going to a show is great if the people brought, multiple rack systems to the show. You can buy it off them right now. I don't know if Eric, I can't remember if he does that normally. I feel like we bought one, but he doesn't normally sell them right there at the show. Yeah, honestly, at the NARBC, he was kind of putting them out there as displays because I think he does have a little bit of a waiting list. So, but yeah. Yeah, but other people or in other companies were there that were bigger who had them right there that you could like buy. Sea Serpents had them ready to go. And I mean, there's whatever show you go to, wherever, there's hopefully at least one rack manufacturer. They're usually a little bit more pricey, but Is shipping,
but you don't have to wait.
Is shipping usually a lot for those?
No, I'm sorry. I was just about to answer Evan's question, and then you said something, and I was like, "Fuck."
Is shipping usually expensive for those? Do they charge a lot more for shipping?
How big? So if you're going to have like the big racks that I want, like 12 level racks, because I don't want to have to stack different racks together. If you're gonna get a lot of snakes, you might as well have all the biggest size. Rack. So like V70s, 12 high. So for that, you're going to have to get an individual freight company. I mean, and you're going to have to go with an LTL carrier. So it's going to be more expensive. I mean, you're probably looking, I mean, it all depends. I don't remember from when I worked at TQL how much that cost, but I mean, you're going to be looking at least over $100
just for shipping.
Just for shipping. And if you're doing the regular ones, it's going to be probably somewhere between $40 and $60. Okay. If you're going a moderate, you know, maybe the V35 and I forget what the fucking.
Don't look at me.
But the like juvenile or adult male ball python size rack, you're going to be looking at about $40 for shipping, $45 for shipping, I think. But yeah, Evan mentioned JPM Reptilia. They don't use expanded PVC. They use some type of plastic. And
what are your thoughts on that?
That's just not really. I've looked at them, and I mean, it seems cool. There's pretty cheap, it seems like, but it's definitely not going to hold heat for you.
Okay.
And I didn't like how this is just a personal preference. I didn't like how the heat tape went through it, and it could like rise up. I just didn't like the design of it, and it felt a little cheap to me. It's like a slot to where you can feed heat tape through, and then it serpentines through the outside of the rack.
Okay.
Because there's little slots.
Okay, you do that already, but you just don't. It doesn't have slots.
But it's inside the rack.
Okay.
So this one you kind of have to have it outside, and it just doesn't. Maybe that's just me being a little OCD.
It's not how your brain works.
That's not how I want it to be.
Right.
And then also it was like the hatchling rack was just a little bit too cheap, and god damn with that crackling, dude. A little bit too cheap, and like the plastic is just weird for me. Evan said he paid $245 shipped for 18 tub 6-quart rack from Dragons for You. I've never heard of Dragons for You, but that sounds like a pretty good price right there. That's a good like hatchling size. So
that's for the rack and for shipping. He's saying he paid $245. That's not bad.
It's pretty sweet. So how many levels is that? I wonder how many tubs it is across and how many tubs.
I wonder also
how many levels high.
Where Dragons for You is located.
Yeah.
Because that'll affect your shipping. I'm assuming, depending on how far they have to ship it. Oh, yeah, and it came with a thermostat for $245.
I think he was answering Chris's question. So Chris asked, how do you keep temp gradient in a rack system? So the racks are going to have heat tape that go in the back. So it's going to cover, you know, maybe 1/4 of the tub just in the back section. So if I set my heat tape to where it's 85 degrees in the back of the tub, in the front of the tub, it's going to be more towards room temperature. So my
corn sinks all chill at the back.
So they sometimes when they're digesting it, then they move forward or they go on top of their hide to be an in-between temperature. But you just want to give them a full spectrum to choose whatever they want. So in the back, it may be 85 degrees, and my room temperature may be 70 degrees. So maybe the front of that tub is somewhere between 70, 72 degrees. So, you know, ideally they can have a choice between 85 degrees all the way to 70, 72 degrees. So,
Chris, I don't know if you saw his video. He talked about different thermostats. Some show you the temperature. Some are just a little dial. It depends on your preference on like what one you like and how exact you want to know those temperatures of the backs of your tubs.
Yeah. So what I did for corn snakes, I tried to use this thing called Jumpstart thermostat, which is for seedlings, for sprouting seeds. I guess you need to have a certain temperature. So I used that for the baby corn snakes, and that's worked good so far. I wanted to use that just kind of as an experiment. It does have a gradient. It goes somewhere between 83 and 80, like 5.5. So it does have a swing of temperature.
But it's not been a huge deal.
that's not a big deal. If you think about it, if they're living outside, they're gonna get more than 3 degrees, change in a day. It's different when you get to a ball python, which is in a termite mound in Africa, where the temperature is much more stable. I mean, in a term, you have just the more stability of the climate in general. In Ghana or something, it may be in the 80s all day, not change too much, and then the termite mound on top of that, it's just going to create a very humid and very stable environment in comparison to corn snakes.
Yeah, sorry, I was reading. Mia, just said, when will you hatch ball pythons? It says on your website that there will be more soon. So clearly you haven't updated your website.
Well, I meant just more snakes in general soon, but yeah, I don't have any ball pythons anymore. Although I used to have a bunch of ball pythons.
Done ball pythons in a while.
And hatched ball pythons, but
wait, Mia, answer a question about super pastel congos. What?
Oh, she did. She
said, I missed that. Shit, sorry.
It's just a little bit different of a pattern, it seems like.
Kind of looks. Oh, okay. It looks like the pattern on a normal. Okay. Yeah. How have we never heard of that? I don't know.
I've heard of bongo, and I've heard of snakes from the Congo.
I don't know. Maybe it's a combination of both.
Oh, so Lilypad asks, is mouthwash the best way to get a snake to let go? It doesn't seem good for it. I've never done that. I've seen quite a few times where king snakes in particular hold on and wrap around. I've never done the mouthwash thing. I think that's kind of stupid. I wouldn't do that. Although it works for sure. I mean, I personally wouldn't do it. What I've done before is dunk a snake in water. So they need to breathe. So they're going to be letting go. So you're
drowning it ish. I mean, very quickly.
Or putting alcohol down its mouth. It's either way. I mean,
I think if it's biting you, the quickest thing is.
I wouldn't like the idea of putting hand sanitizer down there either, but
water is the cleanest.
Yeah. I mean, if you really got to get them off. I mean, I personally, when that's happened, I've just gotten I had the olive python wrapped around my finger for a while, which is
what is a while?
What is that? A while?
What do you mean by a while?
It was a solid real life, 5 minutes.
What is it? Not real life?
Well, because there's the exaggerated. It was 5 minutes. This is an actual.
Just stop using the word minutes. Just say it was 5 minutes.
5 minutes. It was just wrapped around there, and there was a hook in between, and then she just kind of crawled up the hook, and then didn't even strike. She just kind of
opened
her mouth and just fucking started wrapping around me.
So what were you doing for those 5 minutes?
So, first I took a picture. I can't get this thing off. Of course.
So you're the reason why it was 5 minutes, because you took a picture of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I prolonged the process, I think. But what I did is I know that it has recurved teeth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, I got to put my finger a little bit further down its mouth to unhook the teeth.
Right, because if you pull, it's going to be
and then
not going to help.
Open the jaws up and get the finger out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've done. I just took my finger out.
How did you open the jaws up?
You want to be careful with the teeth.
Squeeze?
With just my other hand. And then you can use a hook to jam it in there as well, just as long as you're careful not to break the teeth. But
I don't think everyone is so calm to be able to just take it out of their hand.
Yeah, you're putting more hands into the mouth of the snake who already bit you.
That doesn't seem.
That's at your discretion, I guess. But
Facebook fucked up.
Facebook always fucks up.
There you go. It's back
a little bit. I don't know why. If you're on Facebook and Facebook sucks, you can go to YouTube, and that is usually pretty much more reliable, better sound quality.
So in times when you haven't just pulled your hand out, you've dunked it in water in the sink or whatever.
So I was at this weird reptile rescue fucking thing, and this king snake just wrapped up this girl's hand, just bit it and wrapped it up for a long time, and then she was just freaking out and it was
just flailing and
Well, no, not but she was how do I get this thing off? And yeah, we did especially cold water. They don't want.
They're not a fan of that.
Shit.
Yeah. And so they just
Otherwise,
literally
pink
just like
snakes
let
in
go.
particular can be pretty
They
hard to
literally
get
just
out.
like let go and that's it. No.
Sometimes it's not that easy. It all depends. They're kind of like you would expect them to be like, "Fuck this,
Let me get out of this water."
Yeah.
But they're
not
like,
always
the taste of
that.
this finger is better. This finger tastes good.
Yeah.
So you think that's why people go to like alcohol and stuff, because it's a quicker, way to stop them from biting you. But I mean, I'm sure in small doses, it's not going to hurt them. You would just rather not put any sort of chemicals or whatever down their body.
I mean, we're drinking alcohol right now. But that's really it. So I don't know, man.
I mean, right.
Who
At the end of
knows?
the
It's a
day, it's
snake.
not going to kill them, but you would just rather abstain from any sort of that.
That's just me personally.
Right.
And for the most part, I don't get many snakes stuck on my finger. I mean, that's really just, I know my animals, so I know which ones will do that, and I try not to do that. I've been pushing the envelope with the water python, though.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been like, fucking just waiting
Going for
it.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, in general, I know my animals. I don't get bit that much. When I do, it's a defense bite, and they just let go immediately.
Okay.
So it's not a big deal. So yeah, I mean, it happens, but that's really it.
Chris Brewster asked if you have a biology, zoology background. No, he just reads a shit ton of books.
Yeah, like just real life shit. You just
biology degrees are real life shit.
No. Yo, I'm talking about just hands-on doing actual snake stuff.
He just
or reading books.
It's experience combined with internet research combined with books, would you say?
Yeah.
And just going to shows are very helpful.
And just being generally interested in the actual and the actual biology and the actual things about, because it's so much easier to just learn about snakes. If you're going to do biology or zoology, you're learning about a much
bigger range,
wider subject. And then for your doctorate, you might get herpetology, you might get down to snakes or reptiles in general. So it's much easier for me. I'm just interested in snakes, and I'm just interested in a few snakes. So it's because there's just too much to learn in general if you want to just learn about all reptiles. Way too much shit.
There's just even so much on snakes.
4,000 species,
right.
And they're all fucking different. And so it's like, I just got to know enough about fucking North American colubrids and then
some
maybe
Australian
pythons. And I just try my best.
But there's lots of good books out there. And other people asking other people.
And I mean, hands-on experience is always the best way to learn, as far as, if a snake gets caught on you, those little things are, and keeping and, husbandry. It's honestly usually more useful to get husbandry tips from people who have a lot of snakes and been keeping snakes for a long time, rather than trying to look in a book.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the husbandry in books is always like 10 years behind. Because
why? Just time to get the book out,
just printing and stuff like that. And then
–
also, there's only so many books that are made by people who have a certain degree of animals. So I have some books that went into print just for like nostalgia's sake in like the 90s. And it's like, obviously I can't pay attention to any of the material in there, but it's
you just like reading them.
But it's like keeping snakes in captivity, and it goes through like every species of snake ever.
Whoa.
So it's like, I think they're making some generalizations here.
They can't
they don't
know
really
all
know
about that, right?
Or breeding. I also have one on breeding snakes in captivity,
and it's every single one. That's
species.
impossible.
So
it's impossible to know that, right?
That.
They're just guessing. Evan already answered this question. Thanks, Evan. But Mia said, how big do green trees get? Just for anyone.
You'll never know, because they're always on their stick.
They'll just stay rolled up.
Out for you, man.
And Chris Brewster said, genetics confused the hell out of me. Chris, you're not alone. I didn't know anything about snakes till I met him. And so it's been like 6 months, and I feel like I know nothing. Yeah. Also, I mean, I don't know.
And then also, hobby genetics are different than real genetics.
Right. Also, for me, like books, like I wouldn't learn more about genetics from books, because I can't conceptualize. Genetics are not. It's not something you can see, and so it's very hard for me to conceptualize that.
The more and more you see different
species, you need to see the snake, right?
Different And everything that we call codom in the hobby is going to be incomplete dominant in
And
real life.
I still don't even understand.
And then also
that.
like dominant and shit. It's all bullshit. Like a lot of it is just hobbyists trying to make a conclusion on genetics, but they don't really understand. But now it's become kind of industry standard. So it's all a weird pool of shit. But if you ever have any like specific fucking questions, I mean, I'll answer them for you, or I'll send you to someone who knows more.
You know a lot more than me. Even just like recessive stuff. I'm like, oh, but it's not in there.
Yeah.
But they can have this many recessive.
But I mean, there's a lot more people who know a lot more about genetics than me, obviously. But also lily pads.
Oh, sorry.
What?
I was thinking, do you think having that biology? I mean, obviously, at least from a lot of the breeders that I've met, you know, through different things, like they're not biology or whatever. But do you think having that biology background would help in people understanding the genetics?
Yes and no, because they have the background of actually doing it. So they know about genetics, at least to how we look at it. And we just keep on doing that because it's been that way since the 80s or something. So it's really happened at the root. We got a little bit mixed up. But there's a guy, Travis Wyman, who I believe he breeds ball pythons, but he is a geneticist.
Oh,
so
okay.
I just listen to him. I don't give a shit what other people say in the hobby. I'll listen to him who does it in real life. So that's also another thing. He does it in real life, like for real.
That's for real.
Like science.
Real.
For reals. Yeah. So that's where I get.
Is he like the only one? I feel like most people aren't science. Like most big people, there's not scientists or biologists or. I mean, there are. I'm not saying there's not any at all, but I feel like a lot of the big people don't have that science connection at all.
Yeah, and there's not many people who are. Usually the scientist type isn't really the most outspoken type. So luckily Travis Wyman
You're stereotyping a little bit, babe.
Well, no, it's like a left brain, right brain thing, you know? They like, I mean, or at least in the snake hobby, they don't either keep snakes or give a shit about snakes or anything like that.
Right, most are in the research.
So luckily Travis Wyman, I think he researches like genetics on like, he knows a lot about plants and flowers and shit. But he also, so he has a lot of, he has interviews on like NPR, and then also I think he has interviews on the old Herp Nation shows, which I don't know if they're on anymore. But Lilypad asks, what are your thoughts on bioactive terrariums? So I guess I
don't even know what that is.
Explain what a bioactive
I don't know what that is.
So bioactive terrarium is basically just making a terrarium that has all the ingredients in nature to self-clean itself or to grow plants, that kind of thing.
So is that different than naturalistic?
Well, naturalistic can look like nature, but isn't necessarily that system that
of self-cleaning
perpetuate itself and self-clean. Okay. So where bioactive is really important is things like monitors, like savanna monitors are really important as far as it's much easier because they need like a lot of burrowing room. They love to burrow. So if you need to give them like 4 feet of burrowing at least.
Whoa.
So you really want to have that because there's no way to clean that.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to have, you know, those, what the hell do they call them? Just those little bugs and everything that cleans the enclosure.
I don't know, but that sounds gross.
Yeah. I don't know too much about it.
Would they not eat the bugs?
Maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know much about it because if you're trying to keep like corn snakes or most snakes for that matter, all they're going to do is rip up all that naturalistic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And plus,
so it's just not necessary.
I'm more concerned with keeping everything pretty clean for the snakes. So I just want the most control that I can get over the environment.
And with those bioactive, you can't do that.
Yeah. So it's definitely good for some things, especially if you're talking about dart frogs. Okay. It's amazing for, or savanna monitors or monitors in general. I believe.
Outside of snakes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some snakes that do really well on it, but I personally like to keep everything a little bit more sanitary. But
Evan says sometimes bioactive works great. He had a Bioc green tree python in a simple setup and it was having terrible sheds, so he switched to a bio. He planted some potho. What's a potho?
No idea.
Okay. Planted a pothos, whatever that is.
Yeah, snakes don't eat the bugs.
Oh, roly-polies? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but there's a more legitimate name for it. I just can't think.
Okay. And so what did having the roly-polies, how did that help the snake shed? Like, what does that
Well,
do?
no, it just eats the shit and stuff like that. And then the natural
So they're okay.
degradation of plants and the soil, keeping the soil intact, everything like that, they replenish that.
Okay, so it puts some, but I still don't get how that.
Isopods, there you go.
Okay.
See, that was a good.
I've heard that word before.
Of course, green trees aren't going to tear up the plants. So
right, they're going to stay there, stay in their position.
Mhm.
And he said, Evan said, no, they don't usually eat the bugs.
It's
but I wasn't
ringtails,
talking
yeah.
about snakes. I was talking about wouldn't the monitor eat the bug?
Yeah, I figured that, but I mean potentially, but I don't know, man.
Aren't there other tactics though to get snakes to shed or to have better sheds?
I mean, it all depends what kind of stuff you're working with, what kind of your environment and what you're keeping. So for the green trees, what I do is just keep a very humid environment in general. I mean, all that is keeping humidity. So if bioactive allows you to have plants that grow that put off a lot of humidity and do and create a good environment for the green tree, then that's good. If I can do it spraying down paper towels, then that's good too.
Good
if
enough,
I can do
right?
it spraying down whatever the hell that's not damaging to the snake, then I think that that's a viable way to keep.
Does cleaning quicker in like right after they shit, is that aid? Because he said roly-polies, eat the poop. So does, if you didn't have the ability to do that, is cleaning quicker and like monitoring that more quickly, would that aid in them having better sheds?
I don't think it has any bearing on what the humidity level is going to be.
So then what's the point of having the roly-polies that eat the sheds? If
well, it's because you can't like go in there and clean dirt.
Oh, because it's in the in the dirt. Okay, got it.
So you're gonna have a layer to where it's like these. You're gonna have filtration through it, and then
so you can't clean it. So the roly-polies do the cleaning for you.
So they do the cleaning for you. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then apparently pothos is an ivy. Basically an ivy.
So why don't you just say ivy, Evan? Why you got to use big words?
I don't know. This is a scientific podcast. You didn't know.
She said, "Did you hear about the woman who let a corn snake bite her 1-year-old?" What the fuck? What? Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
I did not hear about that.
I just think that, anything you put out there should be put out there with the thought that people have zero idea of what snakes are. So when they see a snake bite someone, they're saying that's terrible.
All snakes are terrible. Let's kill them all.
And they're dangerous. So even though we know that that's not a big deal, a corn snake, and I didn't see that video.
But I think it's more of a big deal. It's not a big deal. Like the little girl's gonna be fine. But I think it's more of a big deal that the mom filmed that shit and posted that shit. Like, what the fuck?
Well, no, that's obviously you're just being fucking stupid. I mean, that happens to everyone, not a fucking 1-year-old because you put her in that situation. But
right.
The reason you did that was for attention. And all that does is put negative attention on the hobby of keeping snakes. So that's painting with a brush that we're all fucking that stupid.
Right. Because it's like to people who know, like we know that doesn't happen normally. That's not,
Yeah, like we know that you need to make the girl get bitten by the snake.
Right.
You put this kid.
The people who know are judging the mom. The people who don't know are judging the snake.
Yeah.
And that's the most fucking thing about it. It has nothing to do
with the snakes. It has to do with your mom's a fucking dumb piece of trash. Let's look at that fucking video and what shitty fucking trailer with holes in it.
And like 1-year-old, like come on. They can barely fucking walk at that age, like much less even hold a snake. I'm surprised the 1-year-old didn't put it in its mouth. Like they put it.
I don't think it's I mean, that's just stupid for both parties. Why are you're putting a snake in danger? You're putting your baby not in danger, but
you're putting the snake in danger more than anything.
But I mean, why do you want a snake to bite your baby? It doesn't work for anyone. I mean, maybe I've seen people drape fucking ball pythons over their kids. I mean, I wouldn't do that personally, but ball pythons, they're probably not going to bite the baby. So I guess whatever the fuck, who am I supposed to?
Evan says he's let his 1-year-old hold a snake. Personal, I've been around lots of children. I would never let a 1-year-old do that, but
I mean,
personal beliefs.
I mean, if they think it's fucking silly, I would have a snake where I obviously know it's not going to bite.
Yeah, but every single 1-year-old I've been around, you give them something, they're gonna put it in their mouth, they're gonna throw it.
The snake.
They're right. That's something they're gonna put it in their mouth. I mean, obviously you could stop, but that's just my personal thing. I'm not gonna give a 1-year-old that.
Do touching? I would be like,
I'll hold it and you can touch it. Yes, very different.
I mean, it's not a big deal. Also, don't take a video of it biting.
Right.
There's just way too many stupid things in that situation. I mean, you can do it the right way. I mean, even if that happens, just don't have a video and don't post it somewhere.
Evan said he's not letting her run away with it. And they said baby eating stick. Also, just thing to think about, a newly 1-year-old is very different than a 1-year-old who's almost a 2-year-old. If a 1-year-old who's almost a 2-year-old, I would let them hold it. But like newly 1-year-olds, no. But that's just my education brain
that can
thinking.
Have some type of control over what they do, meaning like 1-year-old just doesn't really.
Yeah, but I agree with Evan, showing new generations that snakes are not something to fear.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, but I mean,
I definitely
when you're
agree
letting
with
it
that.
Bite, that's definitely.
We definitely have to go watch his video after
Meaning
this.
I know. I don't really want to give it the views.
I know. Can we watch it without giving the views?
People, but...
Your dad said at least you're drinking tall
boys. That might be my
boys.
brher, by the way. They're both James. I'm guessing it's my brother if he made that statement. I don't think my dad knows what a tall boy is.
Slash, does your dad have a YouTube account?
Slash, does my dad have any account?
He has an Instagram. He just made an Instagram your dad, to see your pictures.
Yeah.
We're just bringing, the what are they called? We learned this word. Sexagenarians. Is that the word? Remember, like octogenarians is like 80-year-olds, 60-year-old. Is that
septa? Maybe.
That's, I don't know. I tried to use a big word and I failed at it. We're bringing the old people to social media.
You're degrading my father's age.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm just saying the category of the age that he's in.
Wow.
Sorry.
Just say it, geriatrics.
Sorry, Evan said his daughter is pretty gentle with everything. He looked out. She has toy snakes and runs around and says definitely agree with.
I mean, I don't think you have a choice if you have a father like
like Evan. You're gonna be around snakes.
You're gonna be around snakes, so I think it's reasonable that you know how to act around snakes.
Yeah, definitely. If it's in your house, you should introduce them to it in a good way.
They should know how to handle it, and you should know how to handle them around snakes. I mean, that's really it.
I wonder how many views that video has gotten. God, I bet there's so many comments just being like just shitting on snakes all day.
Yeah,
I can only imagine.
You just can't have that shit out there.
I wonder also if she's a breeder. She just like has one pet snake, or I don't know.
I mean, probably not. If you're a responsible snake owner, you know not to do shit like that.
You think she was just like a pet owner?
Yeah, just random. Chris Brewster asked if I have any rear fang colubrids. I do technically have hognose, which are rear fang colubrids, but
and little dicks.
Most of the rear fang colubrids don't really. It's not really a big deal, but most of them don't have very active venom, unless maybe it's a boom slang.
I've never heard of that.
Slang.
What's a boom slang?
It's an African rear-fanged venomous snake.
Wait, so why are you going country if it's an African snake? I
don't know how to do an African accent, so whatever.
Yeah, I mean, how often have your okay, you're reading.
My dad thought a tall boy was a snake, I think.
No, I think that's your mom making a joke.
I don't know.
Octogenarians can make jokes.
You're calling her 80 years old.
I was making a joke.
So he said he has a short-tailed python from Vin Russo. So meaning, I mean, that will be a big snake, but it's not a tall boy.
Oh, look, your brother looked it up.
That's disgusting.
Sexagenarian. Is it sex like S-E? Really?
Yeah,
Sex?
apparently.
I was close with my. I said
Did I
sect.
say septa?
You said sept, which is 7.
Yeah.
I said sect, S-E-C-T.
Yeah, so Chris said he thought about a cat-eyed snake. I
I've
mean,
never
they're
heard of
super
that.
cool. They're going to be a lot higher on the keeping scale as far as you definitely want to be an experienced keeper.
Are those rear fanged?
A lot of them don't. Yeah, they're rear fanged. A lot of them don't eat rodents right off the bat. They're mostly lizard eaters.
Oh,
So they're really cool looking. I mean, they're everywhere from green to orange to black. I mean, the mangroves are going to be awesome. All of boyega are super cool genus, super cool snakes, but they're going to be rather bitey, rather hard to get feeding, rather hard to keep. So all those
you don't want that as your first snake.
Keep as long as they're North American colubrids. Once you get into like Asia, and it gets a little harder to
wonky.
keep, and yeah, it gets a little wonky as far as your keeping goes.
Have you ever been bit by your hognose?
No.
Which is interesting. Okay.
But yeah, like Evan said, if you're new to snakes start out slowly.
And steaks.
Yeah, you don't want to. Try corns and hoggies first, which I agree with.
Which we said so many times. I'm going to get you a shirt.
Even hognose can be, kind of a pain to deal with.
Yours are so annoying. But that's just my personal thing.
That's just mine, though.
Or yeah, because we went to NRBC and a woman was selling some hognoses and I was telling her how yours are annoying, and she was so surprised. Like, when I tell people how annoying yours are, they say that's not a common thing for all hognose.
I mean, they are usually. They do that bluff and they hiss and they
tap at the tub all the time. Jesus.
But mine are particularly bad.
What did you do to them?
I don't know.
Why did you make them so annoying?
But I mean, they don't really bite. They just act like they're gonna bite.
Right. They just want to scare you away, so you leave them alone.
Yeah.
Also, are all hognoses burrowing like yours are? Do they all burrow that much?
Yeah. I mean, that's why they have that upturned nose, so that they can burrow.
So they can still breathe and burrow?
Well, no, it's used as like a shovel, so they can burrow.
Oh, like that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. But not other snakes burrow and they don't have that upturned nose. Don't they?
I mean, there's a lot of snakes that burrow when they don't have upturned nose, but that's just an extra adaptation
to make it easier to burrow.
Not all animals have legs, but they all live on land, so.
Okay, they don't all live on land.
No, I'm saying the ones that live on land don't all have legs. I don't know what I'm fucking saying.
Yeah, you were trying to make some analogy that I didn't like.
Lily Fan said, are there any morphs that you shouldn't breed together because of neurological problems?
We've talked about some things of hybrids and stuff like that you disagree with.
Well, morphs, not hybrids.
Oh, sorry.
Not interspecies breeding. But,
gotcha.
So neurological problems mostly going to be what I've experienced out of ball pythons.
Can't you just have some fertility issues?
So like desert ball pythons don't have a large enough, either it's cloaca or whatever else there is in their system.
Well,
what?
Nothing. Keep going.
Either the vent's not big enough to pass it, or something else in the reproductive system isn't good enough to pass it. So desert ball pythons, the females can't reproduce. So that's one thing. Spider, if you do super spider, that's a dead snake. If you do jag to a jag, which is going to be in carpet pythons, is going to produce. Jag is basically exactly equal to a spider ball python in the way is they even look a little bit similar in what they do to the colors of the python. And when you breed two jags together, two spiders together, alone they have neurological issues. So when you put two of them together,
just only make
it's
it
a
worse.
white snake that isn't going to make it. It's either dead before it hatches, or it hatches and it dies within a couple days.
Gotcha.
So so basically you just don't breed spiders together, don't breed jags together. Some people still do that. I mean, that's on your own.
That's not that many. I would expect more.
What do you mean?
More things that have neurological issues.
There's quite a few in ball pythons. I just don't know exactly. So
okay. Evan said spider morph, which you brought up. Jag morph, those are just the ones.
Yeah, I saw that and I just worked off of that.
What is oviducts? Oh, is that what you were trying to say earlier?
So like
okay.
Oviducts can't pass eggs.
Gotcha.
But,
Chris said he got booted. What did he miss? Oh, I don't know when he got booted. We were just talking about issues in breeding specific morphs. Baron Hansen said, "Hey, thanks for help with Morph Market Online. What'd you do?"
Yeah, so he had posted about, I saw this snake in Petco, this ball python. I thought maybe it was a good deal. So it was marked as a normal, at least in the same enclosure as a normal, and it was $89, but it was a spider. So he said, is $89 like a good deal? From what I've seen online, $89 is pretty cheap for a spider. So all I did was send him, like, Morph Market's a website that's going to have a bunch of different breeders.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only what he had at his disposal before. I think it was a few big breeders, maybe like Reptiles by Mac and then like BHB or something like that, which a lot of them are going to be wholesaling.
Right.
So you're going to get a animal that's a little higher price or
from those, definitely.
Yeah. So I sent him Morph Market, and honestly, like, spiders are kind of a gene that people are just kind of get rid of. All ball pythons that are single genes. At this point, people are just like
not cool enough,
man. Yeah. So they're like just trying to get rid of. So fucking, I'm not gonna get
Evan, we can't go down the BHB track again.
So Morph Market's a place where you get smaller breeders. If you shop smaller breeders, I mean, you're going to get better prices, better animals, better service. Everything's
than a big
better.
Company.
So why not just go with a smaller breeder? So yeah, I showed them Morph Market, and there's some spiders there, I think, for probably like $35 instead of, $90 and up. So
wow, that's a huge upcharge for Petco.
Yeah, I mean,
and definitely if Petco didn't even know it was a spider. Also, you said they were advertising it as a normal?
Yeah, normals are $90.
And then
normals at a reptile show from a breeder are going to be like $10. So
right, whoa.
So yeah, that's just how it goes. And then the smaller breeders are going to be more apt to kind of get rid of ball pythons. And then Evan's plugging Bill Stiegel for his ball pythons right now. He has mostly, I know he works a lot with like albinos and stuff like that, the yellow stuff.
I like the albinos. They're always
yellow stuff.
They're always good to me.
Oh yeah, I saw that Michael Pinnell produces a lot of ball pythons. I just started.
Was he at Carpet Fest?
Yeah, I just started following him on Instagram. I didn't know he did so many ball pythons. He's known for having like coastal carpets.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been producing a lot of ball pythons, which I didn't know.
Interesting. He does both.
Yeah, I mean that's reasonable. I mean, there's economical need at the other end, so or economical opportunity at the other end. But I mean, he's known for having like pure genetic coastal carpets.
Some beautiful ones.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a good. I didn't know he made them, but
is he calling? Evan said the silver fox. Is he calling Michael a silver fox, or is there a snake? Okay, got it.
I think he was trying to tell you who he was at Carpet Fest.
Yes, okay. I've seen pictures on Instagram. I think so.
Yeah.
I thought he was saying there's a snake called a silver fox. I mean, there probably is some ball python that someone called a silver fox because there's just so many crazy names.
The silver fox ball python.
There's just so many crazy names for ball pythons.
Streak.
I mean, there's a fucking Cinderella princess.
Yeah, there's
everything for ball pythons.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't put it past them for there to be a silver fox. There's just everything. I hope that never comes to corn snakes.
I guess Mia saw the corn snake video that we were talking about.
Oh, she said it was a corn snake in a tub gets put up to a baby. The baby reaches in and gets bit.
That's just stupid.
But that's just interesting because
I mean, it makes sense, obviously.
But not. We reach in the tubs all the time and don't get bit.
Even then, yeah, the corn snakes aren't really like that very often. So
right. It's
pretty interesting.
If they might like,
but if we go in there unabated, just fucking fast in there, maybe. But we don't.
I guess we've never done that.
We're just adults with fucking brains.
The most is one like darted at me but didn't open its mouth or anything, and that's also because I was being ridiculous. But yeah, that's crazy that I guess she just went in thinking about how a 1-year-old puts their arms in,
puts their hand in it, just thought it was in trouble. So
but interesting it was in a tub. That makes me think the woman or the mom was possibly a breeder and not just if they're in tubs.
I mean, everyone keeps them in tubs now just because they want to have a million of them maybe. So Chris said, I saw a ball python that was half albino and the other half looked like damn banana. And yeah, I mean, that is, Evan said it's paradox. It's actually or chimera. I was trying to put that into an ism, chimeranism.
Nope.
That's when like the zygotes in the egg
Like split.
Combine so it's half of one morph and then half of the other.
And it literally looks like half and half on the snake.
So it's literally like like Two-Face. So it's like half of it is albino, half of it. I think I've seen that. I think it was on what do you call? It was maybe it was with
or Dave.
Gourmet Rodent. Maybe they produced it. But yeah, so that was a chimera, which means that they fused in the egg. And
but he says it was found.
Exhibited both.
So it's not a captive bred.
Yeah, and then honestly, I'm not the one to talk about what's a chimera versus paradox. Plus, like, I don't think we're using the words correctly anyway. So, but I know chimera is when the fuse of that
combines into one.
So I'm pretty confident that could be that, but who the fuck knows, man?
So wait, re-explain what is a paradox.
Oh, so
what's a paradox?
I don't.
Versus a chimera.
From what I've heard, from what I heard on Nick Munn's podcast, that everything in the hobby is a chimera. Technically, I mean, is when it shows it can
more
show
than one
half
thing.
albino, half normal, half one gene, half the other, and you don't know what the gene is actually that's carrying it. Okay. So you don't know when you breed that out. You got to see what it actually is.
Right. You got to keep going to see.
So you don't know if it's an albino or a normal because it's only carrying one of those genes, but it
shows.
But the phenotype, it shows both of those genes. I don't know.
That's why genetics hurt my head.
Yeah. And I mean, that's like Evan said. Yeah, that's like an argument, but I don't know enough to settle the argument at all. I don't think anyone knows enough, or I mean, Nick Munn would be the best person to know, or Travis Wyman. So that's definitely not for me to talk about.
I would trust someone who knows more about genetics. Yeah, I would trust a geneticist more than us, definitely.
Yeah. But
that sounds crazy. I want to see what that looks like to like half and half.
I'll show you later. I think they literally call him Two-Face. I think it's a gourmet rodent animal. But Evan said he found that video and it's a wild caught corn, which makes sense.
Wild animal. The one that bought the bit. I thought he was talking about something else. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought he was saying the chimera was wild caught.
No, I think he was talking about the one in the video.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Scaleless. Wait, why do you say scaleless?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Well, then it would definitely make sense if the corn snake, the one in the video, was wild caught, that it bit the girl. Like they are just so much more.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a wild animal. Just like if you go up to a wild anything else, it's most likely going to either run away immediately or defend itself.
Think about a dog, like even dogs, anything. Right? Like if they're like rescues or stuff, stuff like that.
That's just silly business. But
what makes snakes' eggs stick together after they are laid?
Honestly, I have no idea, but I know.
Do you think it has to do with what? But I know
why they stick together, but
or the consistency of the shell.
Like it doesn't seem like a fluid because it will stay for months. The whole incubation period they'll stick together. So I think it's whatever. Whatever they're made of. So I think it's just the material when they form maybe in the female. But they're usually in a row. So when they're laid on top of each other, for some reason,
right? How do they get into the conglomerate?
Wet, and then when they dry out, for whatever reason, they stick together pretty much.
It must have to do because you've talked about how the shells are softer, than other things, and the dimples, and it must have to do with the consistency, the something. There's something about that, and they have covering.
It glues them together.
The snake juice,
I don't
man.
know what fluid that is.
Snake juice. That's what we're gonna call it. The snake juice is
disgusting, though.
Think about other juices are sticky.
Yeah, but it's like it glues them together and it stays, for as long as you're incubating the clutch. So that's interesting.
Powerful.
It's nature.
Nature, man, makes juices sticky.
Yeah.
Evan said some of it's the lubricant that helped push them out.
That makes sense.
So there's something that's going. But if you were to try to pull it, would it be difficult? I mean, obviously, I know you shouldn't to pull them apart. The eggs that are stuck together.
No, you can do it pretty if you're careful, especially with. I wouldn't do it with the the corn snake eggs are so small I can fit them in easily, but with ball python eggs, they used to be a little bit too tall.
And so you'd have to separate them.
But it's much easier when you get in there as quick as possible, and then you just
As they're
gotta be
coming
real
out.
careful because I mean it is very leathery and a pretty thick shell, especially with ball python eggs. So I never had a problem with it. But
But right, I mean, I know with other ones you want to keep them as much in their original shape as possible because you don't want the juice or the stuff in the inside
to be over.
Right.
The reason they do stick together.
Shoot. Instagram's gone. I was trying to say bye, but it's already gone.
The reason they do stick together is because in the wild, I mean, you have that embryo that is, connected to the top, and you don't want it to drown in the fluids. So in the wild, they stick together so that they're not moving around, or if something comes and disturbs the female, it doesn't flip them around, or the female can successfully beehive around them and they don't move around. I mean, it's just essentially to keep them in place so that they don't flip over and the embryo doesn't drown. And then also they're that like soft leathery feeling because you don't want, if you pack dirt on top of them, if something, the females around them, I mean, especially reptile eggs, a lot of them are made in like soil stuff like that. So
they're supposed to be.
So they're leathery because if pressure waits on
you don't want
them,
it to break them or anything,
somewhat survive. So they're just not as fragile. I mean, it's a much better adaptation than say a chicken
something that
can where you can
crack right away
pretty easily.
Chris Brewster looked up chimera. He said chimera is a Greek mythological beast with more than one made with more than one animal, typically 5. It's an omen for disaster.
That's pretty cool.
So that's like a
that sounds a lot more badass.
What's the half man, half horse thing called?
Yeah, but it's 5.
But I know I was about to say it's that on steroids. Whatever that. I can't think of the.
I don't know what's 5.
Yeah, I can't. There is no. I've never heard of mythological
a 5-part.
I don't know.
Thing.
Be
creature.
Pretty badass creature though.
Yeah.
5 different. If it was like from different, like land sea mixture.
Land sea mixture, yeah. If it was a whale with a horse with, with a bird,
that'd be pretty awesome. See, your thing still says quality ball pipe.
All right, I suck. All right, sorry guys. My website apparently says quality ball
When's
pipe.
the last time?
I thought I took it. I thought I took that off. Anyway,
clearly you didn't.
We digress. Yeah, slug. Lily Pad asked what a slug is, and like Evan said, a slug is an unfertilized egg. So,
if you look at his videos, he had a slug egg.
Yeah, and then I mean you can see it because obviously it doesn't have any veins on it when you shine a light on it in the dark. What you want to do is candle, which you're going to put a light under the egg in the dark, and you're going to see if it's a fertile egg, there's a bunch of veins in it. If it's a slug, it's just going to be a yellow egg.
Like, and you can feed it to your Mexican black king snake who eats to whatever, everything.
But, what was I going to say about slugs? So the slug, no one really knows whether it could be the male didn't fertilize correctly, or the female, the egg didn't calcify correctly. So
you're not sure.
Really go on either end. So
there's no way to be certain of what caused it.
I wouldn't be able to say for sure what causes a slug egg, but it can definitely be a problem on either side.
Is it more apparent in one species than another?
I mean, I'm sure if you go to certain species, and also I want to say that, through species, some are more easily captive bred.
Okay.
So the fact is that you may get more slugs from a Boelen's python just because you don't know how to breed a Boelen's python.
Because you're just right.
Yeah, so I think it's hard to say whether it's human error or the snake's error also. Like Evan said, it can also do with the temps. So
right. If the incubation, or I mean, if the breeding time, you're not keeping them at the right thing.
So the eggs are going to be in the female at all times. So if you have a spike in your heat while she's developing eggs, maybe something happens with that development and it creates slugs. You don't really know. You just want to keep all the variables
controlled as
possible and say this works, this doesn't.
And it still happens sometimes.
It still happens sometimes. So it's nature, it's life, it's something that whether you're trying to control it or not, it's always going to do its own thing pretty much no matter what.
Right. But it's not like there's a slug egg per every clutch, not even per every 2 or 3 clutches, right? The slug, it's like,
it depends.
Okay.
So, I mean, on a good clutch, you may still have 1 or 2 slugs, especially for corn snakes. When you get into numbers, you may have 1 or 2 slugs, even
because they have more, or
yeah. And plus, I mean, this year I got all fertile, all really nice eggs. I don't know why. I didn't brumate correctly. I don't know why I did that.
Well, you had that one. What are you talking about?
It worked well. I mean, maybe it is the fact that I fed them correctly this time or didn't feed them correctly the last. I don't know.
Right.
But I did it differently. I didn't do it how I was supposed to. And it worked. And it worked better than it did before.
So then
I got 16 shitty eggs last time. I got 20 perfect eggs this time.
And 1 bad one.
What happened? I don't know, man.
That's so weird.
And I moved in September. So it doesn't make any sense, but it worked. But yeah, so
Chris Booster said, have you ever noticed a behavior difference with corn snake morse? He knows its appearance, but any other behaviors connected to morse?
One thing I have noticed as far as different behaviors is that, I mean, I have palmettos, which are obviously more connected to more connected, I want to say, to the wild, but I mean, it's just less what do you call these? I'm really drawing a blank.
I don't even know what you're going for.
Born in captivity.
Oh, gotcha.
So, I mean, the more you breed a snake, the more it's not going to be.
It's more tame.
It's not going to be domesticated, but in my experience, you're going to have more tame animals. So my palmettos, which are bred with F1 straight out of wild caught,
because they're newer. Or
it's a palmetto which has only been bred, for 1 or 2 generations on top of a wild caught male that it was bred to.
So it hasn't had that time.
So it's pretty much as close as you can get to a wild caught. It's the first generation out of the wild. So they definitely have a lot more of an attitude, a little bit more sketchy, a little bit more of those natural reactions and natural instincts that are going to come into play with a wild snake.
Right. And I've noticed, I mean, I don't know if this is just your snakes or in general, like the corn snakes interact with their hides differently. Like the snow loves being on that hide, right, on top of that hide all the time. And so I don't know if that's just yours. I don't know if that's across the board.
That's not like a mutation thing. That's just they're all different. That's also what makes it weird to say, are they behaviorally different
by morph,
because they're all just behaviorally a little bit different,
right? Just like humans are.
So I like open up a tub and then I have those 2 aneries that come up to like see what's going on, see if there's food or anything. And then I have some that just try to hide and just don't want to be seen. It just
so it's hard to put them all in one category as behavior differences because there's just range within categories within right,
all corn snakes. So
right. And Mia asked, how often do we do podcasts? Oh, yeah, I haven't answered, but we do it every Tuesday. Mia, we're going to try to do it at 5, but I'm taking summer classes.
We may have to move to Wednesday, maybe.
We'll see. I don't know. Also, Evan says follow Morelia Python Radio. They are much more knowledgeable than us. Awesome people. And she said she's never seen any behavior changes with corn snake morse. I'm just trying to read everyone's. Evan's plugging more radios.
GTP Keeper, which is going to be Bill. Buddy Buscemi, I believe.
And he said, like, retics are pretty easy to work with now since there's been so many captive red. Like you're saying, the more generations, the more they're going to change, and become calmer and stuff like that. The newer the more it is, the newer, the less people know about it, the less they've changed in adaptations and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. Although my water python's always going to be a water python.
No matter how many times you breed it, it's still going to be.
Pine snakes are going to be pine snakes. Captive bred for the last 20 years, there's still pine snakes. So it's also a species thing. So it's all the time. Mia, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I guess I'll see you next Tuesday.
And so Chris Weiser said F1 versus F5. What would you say?
No, I was saying like F1's like first generation,
right,
in captivity, and F5. Then yeah, I mean just the further you go down the line,
yeah.
In general, you still get a dick who has been bred in captivity for generations and generations. It's just that behavioral difference. That's in all
There's
the
some
snakes.
things that are constant, but other things are just the snake itself and who you get and what you get. Right. Yeah. Okay. Are we done, Zell?
Yeah, I think so. Just
look at us. We did an hour and 9 minutes. It felt longer than that.
We've been going. Yeah,
I thought it was like an hour and a half.
Sometimes once we get on.
Yeah. Well, I feel bad because we have 11 people watching on YouTube, so I feel like we should keep talking. But
but then, like, when do we gonna wait until we get so boring that everyone drops off?
No, shouldn't. I think we were pretty funny this time.
Pretty funny.
We made some good jokes.
Yeah.
I thought we were funny. What? You didn't think we were funny?
No. Very educational show. As always.
Whatever. Okay.
Thank you guys so much for watching, for listening, for doing whatever. We will be here maybe next Tuesday at 5 or maybe after that.
You can email my teachers and tell them
to
let them out of class.
Mail to Veronica at montessorischools.com.
That's my teacher's name. It's Veronica. Yeah. Didn't talk about pricing. Was that what you put as the title?
Yeah, we didn't talk. I mean, we just started talking about shit.
It was helpful, but we liked answering questions. So
yeah, that's more fun for me and for you, I think.
Yeah, no, I like answering questions.
When we come in with things to actually talk about, it's like we get to it eventually.
I swear the weeks we have less stuff to talk about, no one's there. But then, like, when you actually come in with like, oh, this is what I'm going to talk about, and I have a lot, everyone's
when
I'm
prepared, I don't have to be prepared. When I'm not prepared,
you need to be prepared.
So it doesn't really matter. So thank you guys all.
But
for
we
your
like people's questions.
It makes it so much more interesting.
I think Evan's still our favorite, though. But
you can't say that.
Evan wants. I can't say that.
I told you to come here and have it.
I can't say Evan's our favorite.
Yeah, I told him to come over sometime and do the podcast.
Evan, come on out to the colony, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. And we need to go see Evan's collection, and you should do a vlog episode in Evan's.
So should we plug like the YouTube channel? If you don't follow us on YouTube, if you're listening on YouTube, you should follow us.
But vlog, check it out.
Yeah, if you're downloading this, YouTube, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
Instagram,
Pythons everywhere.
Facebook.
Instagram, Facebook. I'm trying to close it
even
out,
if you're an octogenarian.
Even despite your use of social media and/or electronic devices, you can follow us wherever because it's easy to find at Port City Pythons. PortCityPythons.com quality.
No, don't go to Port City. Don't go to PortCityPythons.com because it's false advertising.
Come over this weekend.
Okay, we'll be there.
Sure, why not?
Let's make crawfish. Ooh, it's at the end of crawfish season, Evan.
I don't know how that works.
Well, it's at the end.
You coon asses can figure that out.
Do not use that term in public. We have talked.
Louisiana term.
Yeah, but remember with the whole.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it means other things in other parts of the world that are very insulting. In Louisiana, I grew up with coon asses being very Cajun people, and that's
coon ass in Louisiana means like a very redneck Creole Cajun alligator eater.
I love alligators, so fuck you.
And it means something else.
It's very much more insulting, so you should just not use it.
We need to make that distinction.
You should just also not use that word. How about that?
Everyone knows who we're talking about.
Okay, bye. We're ending this. You will update the website now.
No.
Oh, okay.
See you later. Thank you guys for listening, watching, whatever you're doing.
Bye.
Later.